Hello and welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody? Today's Sunday, man. It's a great day to be alive. How's it going? I hope everybody's having a good and wonderful, beautiful day. I know that my day is going great. And man, I can't wait to get started for today's video. But before we get started, man, if you would please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer for the addict who still suffers, and for those of us who are still in the struggle that keeps us bound down. So if you would please join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's get started. Man, I'm excited, dude. Check this out. We're going to just dive in to reading the book, The Cosmic Power Within You. We're on chapter 6. So let's dive in and see what chapter 6 has to offer, see what kind of message it brings out to us. And perhaps this is the chapter that maybe you need to hear today. And hopefully it brings a message, man. Maybe, it brings a message from the cosmic and divinity power of our higher power, right? So let's check it out. Let me put this mic down and situated here so I can pick up this book. But first, let's get rid of these and replace them with these so we can get some good reading in, right? Okay, so again, The Cosmic Power Within You, chapter 6. And it goes like this. It's titled, How to Lead a Successful Life and Gain Promotion. It says, every man's life from beginning to end is a plan of God. The famous German philosopher, poet, and dramatist John Goethe said, life is a quarry out of which we are to mold and chisel and complete a character. The Bible says, I come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. John 10:10. It goes on to say, you are here to lead a full and happy life and a glorious life. You are here to release your hidden talents to the world to fine-tune place in life and to express yourself at your highest level. When you find your true place in life, you will automatically become a tremendous success. You will be perfectly happy, and health, wealth, and all the blessings of life will follow. It says your success or failure in the art of living a glorious and wonderful life depends on the nature of your habitual thinking and on your true desires to transform and to recast substantially those patterns of thought. Get a new perspective, a new approach, and a new vision about life, God, yourself, and the universe. And says, remember, there is a right way and a wrong way to think. Speak, act, sing, drive a car. To imagine and feel and to conduct a business or a profession, learn how to, in cosmic wisdom, to think right, feel right, act right, be right, do right, and pray right. And always be ways of pleasantness, and all your paths will be lanes of happiness. It goes on to say in the first story of chapter 6, a woman receives specific guidance. The following letter from Mrs. Vera Radcliffe, distinguished organist, an artist who has tremendous faith in cosmic power. Dear Dr. Murphy, 3 years ago I was traveling in Kashmir, India. I became acquainted with a prominent jeweler in Srinagar, recommended by mutual friends. Since I could buy there much below the American market, I bought $800 worth of their specialties, superior to gems from other countries such as star rubies, topaz, and sapphires. I checked the credit of said jeweler, and getting fine reports, I left a check for the order, and as I was on my way around the world by air, had the merchandise sent to my home. After returning home, the package did not arrive at the appointed time. Over the past next year, there were no answers from Kashmir to my 8 polite but firm, insistent letters. Since I had exhausted my conscious direction of action, I started praying for the divine guidance and in knowing that there would be a complete filling to the order. I have a friend of whom I am very fond, but whom I seldom seek or talk with, since we live about 55 miles apart and have busy schedules. We do not fit time-wise. Jean telephoned and said we hadn't chatted leisurely for over 2 years, and would I come to lunch? So we met at a lovely restaurant centrally located for the both of us. After catching up on our activities, she asked how I liked India. I replied that I had a wonderful time, but with one flaw, that of the above transaction. She disclosed she has a close friend of the Vice President of India. He had stayed at her home as an exchange student many years ago. This all came as a complete surprise to me. Jean volunteered to write and for help in my behalf. Within 5 weeks, all the merchandise was delivered completely with apologies. Please accept my sincere thanks for helping me with this problem. Kind regards, Vera Radcliffe, Studio City, California. The next story goes on as titled, A Hidden Talent Revealed. A young woman came to see me months ago and said, I'm a misfit. No one wants me. I am a square peg in a round hole. I explained to her that each person is unique and that no two people are alike, any more than two crystals of snow or two leaves of a tree. God never repeated himself. An infinite differentiation is the law of life. And there is no such thing as an unneeded person. I quoted Emerson for her, where he said, I am an organ of God, and God hath need of me where I am. Otherwise, I would not be here. She asked, what is it, God, wishes me to do? The answer is simple. The prayer that she applied to follow God's will also is simple, direct, and to the point. It goes like this. God reveals to me my hidden talents and whispers into my heart the thing he wants me to do. I know that God is infinite intelligence and is seeking expression through me. I am a focal point of infinite life in the same way that an electric bulb is a focal point in the manifestation of electricity. God flows through me as harmony, health, peace, joy, growth, and expansion, all along all lines. I recognize the lead which comes into my conscience, reasoning mind, and I give thanks for the answer now. After a few days, a deep urge came to her to take a certain business course, which she is now ardently pursuing and becoming of her great sincerity. She will undoubtedly be an outstanding success. The next story goes on, it's entitled, Living the Triumphant Life Now. In February of 1966, I gave a series of lectures at the Unity Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. A newspaper man there told me that one of his assignments at one time had been to ask a number of people the following questions. What have you to live for? He said that some of the answers took his breath away and that others made his hair stand on end. Many men said, in substance, I am here to eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. A large percentage of the people interviewed said that they were waiting to retire at 65, and then they had plans to travel to different parts of the world. Some said that they were waiting to die, that they were good Christians and would go to heaven and therefore be forever with God. About 10% of those interviewed said that they didn't know why they were here or where they were going, and that when they died, it wouldn't be the end, and it would be the end. They would become just clods of earth, and there was no future life. About 5% were waiting for their children to grow up and get married. Then they would travel and do things that they had always wanted to do. A small percent were waiting for the old folks to die, and then they would decide what to do. All these people were waiting for something to happen instead of realizing that God is eternal right now. The next story is titled, Accept Health, Wealth, and Happiness Now. Now is the time countless people are continuously looking forward to the future for better times. They are consistently saying that someday they will be happy, prosperous, and successful. The other day in a restaurant, I heard a man say to his companion that sometime he would hit the jackpot and make his mark in the world. The other replied, I hope someday I will get healing for my arthritis. They were postponing their good and looking to the future for fulfillment. The truth is that all the powers of the cosmic mind are within. Peace is now. You can claim that God's river of peace flows through you. Healing is now. Feel and know that the infinite healing presence which made you is now transforming, healing, and restoring every atom of your being. Claim that the creative intelligence which made you knows how to heal you, and that divine order governs your mind and body. Wealth is available right now. It is a thought image in your mind. If you claim it boldly now, a new creative idea will come to you worth perhaps a fortune. Affirm God's wealth is now circulating in my life. I am engraving this idea in my subconscious mind, and I know that whatever I impress on my subconscious mind will come to pass. Actually, the response of your subconscious mind is compulsive, and you will be compelled to express wealth. Why wait for it? Strength is now. Call on the infinite power of God within you, and this power will respond, energizing, vitalizing, and renewing your whole being. Love is now. Know and believe that God loves, envelops, and saturates your mind and body, and that this divine love will be filtered through the made manifest in all phases of your life. Guidance is now. Infinite intelligence within you knows the answer, and it responds to the nature of your request. Claim your good now. You do not create anything. All you do is to give form and expression to which always was, now is, and ever shall be. Moses could have used a loudspeaker, a radio, or a television. The idea or principle by which these are made always existed. In infinite mind, Plato referred to the archetypes of divine mind, which simply means that there is an idea or a pattern in divine mind, every created thing in the universe. Man, that's powerful. Okay, next story goes, how to plan a glorious future for yourself. It says, did you ever stop to think that if you are planning something in the future, you are planning it now? If you are fearful of something in the future, you are fearing it now. If you are thinking of the past, you are thinking of it now. The thing that you have to change is your present thought. You are aware of your present thoughts and all that you can realize in the outer manifestation of your habitual thinking at the present moment. The past and the future are two thieves. If you are indulging in remorse and self-criticism over the past mistakes and hurts, that the mental agony you experience is the pain of your present thought. If you are worried about the future, you are robbing and stealing from yourself joy, health, and happiness. Count your blessings now and get rid of the two thieves. To think of a happy and joyful episode in the past is a present joy. Remember, the result of the past events, good or bad, are but the representatives of your present thinking. Direct your present thought into the right channels. Enthrone in your mind peace, harmony, joy, love, prosperity, and goodwill. Dwell consciously and frequently on these concepts and claim them, and forget all other things. It goes on to say, reside Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. This is in Philippians 4:8. It goes on to say, take this spiritual medicine frequently, and you will experience a glorious future. The next story goes on to say how a maid got a wonderful car by writing a letter to herself. It says, a maid was putting aside $3 a week out of her meager wages in order to buy a car. Her sister gave her a copy of one of my books, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and she read it avidly. She later told my secretary, Ms. Jean Wright, that she sat down one night and wrote a letter to herself in order to impress her subconscious mind with an idea of a car. The gist of her letter was that she gave thanks to God for the lovely car that she now had, and that she accepted it gladly and rejoiced that it was fully paid for and functioning perfectly. She placed the letter in a desk drawer and marked the envelope, my answered prayer. Thank you, Father. The sequel is interesting. On the following Sunday, she went to her church, and during a conversation with one of the ushers, she commented on his new and beautiful Cadillac. He said, I want to sell one of my cars. Do you know anyone who wants a good car? She replied, I do, but I only have $45 saved. The usher said, that will be all right. I have no storage space for it. They take the car for $45, which she said her car has been functioning perfectly over 2 years. Before she had figured it out, she figured it would take her about 3 years to accumulate funds for a down payment on a car. But she had claimed her car now. A car is a divine idea in your mind, and if all the motors in the world were destroyed by some holocaust, an engineer would design another and we would have millions of motors in a few months. The idea and the principle of an automobile are an infinite mind which is within you. The next story goes on, and it's titled, How an 8-Year-Old Boy Received a Gift He Wanted. Shakespeare said, all things be ready if the mind be so. The Bible says, say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. John 4:3-5. These two quotations apply only to your mental and spiritual world. A previously indicated all things are present in infinite mind as ideas, mental patterns, and principles. A boy about 8 years old of age was brought to see me by his mother. He had been disobedient, obstinate, and rebellious. It seemed that all his playmates had dogs, most of which were Irish terriers, and he was constantly crying for a dog. He deeply resented his mother and father for the unwilling to grant him a pet. His mother had told him that the dogs were dirty animals and she would not have one in the house, but that when he grew up and was 18, he could have one and take care of it himself. A little boy could not understand why he had to wait 10 years for a dog. At my request, the mother left him alone with me for half an hour or so, and he poured out all his troubles. I told him to picture the dog he wanted, and in his imagination to fondle it with and stroke it every night prior to sleep. Just to feel that there was a dog right there in the room with him and that he had his arms around the dog. I suggested that he do this every night. The boy's birthday occurred a few weeks later, and his grandfather visited him, representing him with a $3,000 check to be deposited for his education later on. And in addition, he brought him a puppy, an Irish Terrier. The grandfather was received with eclat by the whole family, and all opposition to the dog melted in the burst of approval of the two gifts. This little boy did not have to wait 10 years for a dog. After all, he had collapsed time by the intensity of his thoughts when he entered into the joy of having a dog now. The book of Proverbs says, hope deferred maketh the heart sick. Proverbs 13:12. Your harvest is ready now in your mind. Ready your mind to receive your good now without further postponement. The next story goes on to say how cosmic love responded to a widow. I recently interviewed a widow who said that she had been praying 3 years for a husband, but that she had never met the right man. In talking to her, I discovered that she had been erecting obstacles and barriers in her own mind because of her silent thought was, I would like to marry when I retire. Then I would travel to be free to enjoy life with my husband. She had been projecting marriage into the future and was defeating her own purpose. I explained to her how to collapse time. I suggested that she feel the ring of her finger and night prior to sleep, sensing the tangibility and naturalness of it. Moreover, it would mean to her psychologically that the marriage to the ideal man had already taken place and that she should rejoice in the reality of the marriage now. She did this every night for a week, entering into feeling and delight that would be hers if she were already married. At the end of that time, her son's Boy Scout master, whom she had met socially, proposed to her, and I had the privilege of performing the marriage ceremony. This proves that you can realize in your mind the desire of heart without procrastination. This woman's mental picture and the feel of the ring were conveyed by her subconscious mind, and the infinite intelligence resident in her subconscious responded and brought both of them together. She called her subconscious her invisible matrimonial agent, and rightly so. How a promotion was an enormous increase in salary were obtained. An engineer once told me that he was trying hard for a promotion, but that since others in the organization had priority over him of service, he supposed he would have to wait perhaps for several years. The engineer also had a pilot's license, a few planes for research purposes from Los Angeles to New York and other cities. I asked him how long the flight to New York would take. Oh, he said, by jet, less than 5 hours. He collapsed over 3,000 miles of space into 5 hours or less. The old horse and wagon might have done it in 18 months. Our mathematicians and scientists are pointing out that time and space are one and correlated, and that when we collapse time, we collapse space. I told him frankly that he promoted himself, but first he would have to remove the barricade and stumbling blocks which were there in his own mind. Preclusions such as others are ahead of me, I'll have to wait, etc. About 5 minutes mornings and evenings, he quieted his mind and imagined his wife saying to him, darling, I'm delighted about your promotion and that the increase in your salary. It's wonderful. He felt her embrace and sense of reality and naturalness of her voice, her gestures, and her expressed joy. In a few weeks' time, he realized her cherished goal at this writing. He is working on the ideal project, doing top secret work with an increase in a prestigious and an enormous increase in salary. The next story goes on entitled, How a New Lease of Life Was Secured. Recently, a man phoned me from Texas and elaborated on his many troubles, and he ended up blaming God for all his reverses. I explained to him, however, that the universe is one of the law and order, that God, among other things, is principle or law, and if a man breaks a law, he will suffer accordingly. It is not a question of punishment by an angry God. On the contrary, it is an impersonal matter of cause and effect. If a man misuses the law of mind, the reaction will be negative. But if he uses the law correctly, it will help him to heal him and restore his soul. I instructed him over the phone how to become a free-flowing channel for divine life and gave him the following prayer to use frequently. And it goes like this. I am clear, open channel of the divine and infinite life flows unobstructedly through me as health, peace, prosperity, and right action. I am constantly releasing new creative ideas, and I am setting free the imprisoned slender within. This man has received a new lease on life and has told me that he now is just beginning to live. He added ruefully that I stopped blocking my good. I have taken my foot off the hose in a manner of speaking, and the waters of life are flowing abundantly into my life. He has learned to relax, to let go, and he has ceased pressing the weighing of the negative mentality upon the infinite pipeline of life. Consequently, he immediately began to receive the blessings of life. The next story goes on, entitled How to Experience Happiness and Success in Your Own Life Right Now. It says, there is only one cosmic power animating the entire universe. God is life, and that is your life right now. But this life principle may be directed constructively and destructively because you have the ability to choose and to decide. When you tune in with the cosmic powers and let it flow through you harmoniously, peacefully, and joyously, and when you think, feel right, act right, your life will be one of unalloyed happiness and success along all lines, right here and right now. You are using the life principles destructively whenever you indulge in fear, regret, remorse, or any form of negative thinking. All resonant bitterness, hostility, spiritual pride, self-within criticism, and condemnation of others are especially disastrous methods of misapplying the life principles. When you cohabitly mentally with thoughts of fear, anger, hate, or jealousy, our life force gets snarled up in our subconscious mind. In the same way as you put your foot on the garden hose, thereby blocking the flow of water, in like manner the negative emotions which are dammed up in our subconscious mind come forth as all manners of disease, both mental and physical. The next story is titled The Joy of Overcoming All Your Problems with Cosmic Science. It says, you are here to reproduce all the qualities, attributes, potencies, and aspects of God. Inasmuch as this is the true reason for your existence, He behooves you to have a wholesome dissatisfaction with anything less than completely harmony, health, and peace of mind, and equably or restlessness regarding frustration, lack, and limitation become a great incentive to you, enabling you to overcome all difficulties through the cosmic power within you. It goes on to say, your joy is in overcoming problems. Difficulties and challenges of life enable you to sharpen your mental and spiritual tools and enable you to tap your hidden power and release the treasures of the infinite storehouse of riches within. Whatever you desire is already available as a thought in your mind. Claim what you want and feel its reality. Infinite mind is spaceless and timeless. Cease limiting yourself. Remove all stumbling blocks which are in your mind and enter now into the joy of the answered prayer. It says, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. John 4:35. The harvest is the fruit of the cosmic goodness. And that is chapter 6. Man, that was a very, very good chapter. Let me grab this mic here. Yeah, man, that was powerful. Didn't you think that? I did. I mean, the way it structures that all these people had things that were happening in their lives. You know what I mean? And for this book, because this is an older book, and for stories to be coming in like that are the same stories that are coming in today. You know what I mean? Today, people are going through that same thing like that lady went through, that she wrote a check out to receive a package that never showed up. How many times has that happened here in today's world? Especially in today's world. People order things on Amazon and all this other stuff, and the package never gets here. You know what I mean? Somebody dropped the ball along the way. Now they're all pissed off because they lost, they don't have, they're out a couple $100 that's going to take them, weeks and months and possibly even longer than that to receive the money back or receive their package, because it has to go through all these steps. You know what I mean? It has to go through the theft department and all this other stuff to make sure that, there's a bunch of investigation that has to happen. So it's not an immediate thing that you're going to get resolutions on. And then in today's world, I mean, we react so negatively. How many people of us have stopped and wrote such an affirm letter and sent it off 6 or 7 times? Like she said, she'd been doing this for a whole year. You know what I mean? That's not happening today. Today's like instant. I'm going to send him a message, a text, blah, 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 blah. But instead of doing that, let the divinity, let the cosmic power deal with it. You know what I mean? And the other people, the girl that said that she was a misfit and she didn't belong, and how many people today feel like that? Thousands and thousands of people in the world today. I mean, probably millions. You know what I mean? Because we live in a world that all of us are in a sense, the only communication that we have with the world outside of us is through this thing right here, through this screen, through our phones. You know what I mean? And when people feel like that not only puts them in this negative state, but in this depressed state and in this state of it's just you. And how lonely is that? When all you have to do, and it tells you in those stories, all you had to do was think it and say it. It's that easy to think and say, my divine God, please, I'm asking you. I want this, I want that. Take this away. Take this from me, give me this, give me that. How easy is that? But doing it, like it said, in patterns. That is very, very important. In patterns. You know what that means? That means consistency. That means doing something repetitively every single day without stopping. It brings me back to my personal journey in addiction, that every single morning, when I wake up in the morning, every single morning, I don't care what it is, what day it is, as soon as I get up, I'm chanting prayer. I'm chanting Our Father prayer, I'm chanting the Serenity prayer, and I'm meditating. And that is the first hour to 2 of my morning, without picking up this phone and without picking up, going to a computer or hearing a TV or anything. The first 2 hours of my morning consist of just me, my thoughts, and my divine cosmic powers of the divinity that I try to just chant out there into the world, into the universe, so that I can get some positive back. However it comes. But since I've been practicing that way, I've been getting nothing but positive things have been just coming into fruition in my life, and it's amazing. You know what I mean? And so I hope that you guys got something out of that story today, man. That was a lot of powerful information right there. A lot of powerful stuff that this Sunday we could use, man. I tell you that. But man, you know what? Thank you for sticking with me, for listening to me read that chapter 6 to you guys. I really appreciate it. And that's the whole point of doing this video podcast, is to help the addict who still suffers and help everybody who has a struggle that keeps them bound down to being angry, to being negative, to being sad, to being depressed, to having suicidal thoughts, to dealing with childhood traumatic experiences, to dealing with depression, to dealing with drugs and alcohol addiction, and all of those types of things. And yeah, so that's my whole purpose here is to try to spread a message and to share a story that perhaps can help somebody else, because I know one day I heard a story that helped me come into this life of recovery and positivity and spirituality. So I would be doing you and myself a disservice if I would not share stuff like that. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So I guess at this time, if you please give me a thumbs up, share my channel, hit that subscribe button. Don't you just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, man, it doesn't cost you a thing. And just know that when you do that, you'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, drug addiction, alcoholism, anger, suicidal thoughts, depression, because I, my friends, have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. And that's why I do this, to share the message. So thank you very much for joining me. And I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.